Good evening, everybody. The time is 6 p.m. I will call to order the March 3rd meeting of the Huxley City Council. This is a budget workshop. Roll call, please.
Roberts.
Here.
Etcher.
Here.
Rigler.
Here.
Mulder. Murphy.
Here.
Thank you. Need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make it. Go ahead.
I'll offer a motion.
Second.
Motion Rigler, second Etcher. Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, please respond with aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. We do have three different departments we're going to discuss this evening on this workshop budget. Up first is police. Kind of the format I'd like to go through here on each department. Nate, obviously you're up first here, but give you kind of an opportunity to give an overview of your budget if you'd like to highlight anything that's of particular interest or needs attention. Give council then the opportunity to go through this in any level of detail they'd like to. After we've been through your proposed FY 26-27 budget, then we'll talk about CIP needs. So kind of two different conversations. So I'll let you start with an overview if there's anything you'd like to say.
You bet. Well, my budget, like I said, I've tried to be very responsible with it and try and eliminate any bloat or whatever. Some of my things, my items are I'm contractually obligated to or whatever. What I mean by that is let's say one of the biggest chunks you'll notice is line number, I'll have to find it. It's with the Story County Dispatch for 38,535. And that's fixed. That's non-negotiable. That's what the sheriff's office charges us for dispatching fees through Story County. Same thing you'll see with Raycom, MAPS-G, NCIC. That's line number 6410. And Raycom is 6402. These are prices that I can't really negotiate. The ones that I could are things like uniforms, small equipment, things like that. I tried to be very responsible with that. I'm sure fire and medics will say the same thing, but our stuff doesn't come very cheap, especially with small equipment and uniforms. It's unfortunate. I try and find the best deals I possibly can. And I even haggle a little bit if I can, pretty much everybody. So that's the briefest overview I can give you. I'm hoping you guys had a chance to kind of peruse it beforehand. And if you had any questions, I'd be happy to answer them now, but that's about all I can say from my end of it. Again, like I said, trying to be responsible with it. Some of these things I don't really ever see, such as insurance, work comp, IPERS, things like that. So that's Barb took care of that for me. Also did that with the Cambridge Police Service state grant, the school reimbursement. You'll also notice that we do salvage vehicle inspections. We get about $40 per when we do a salvage vehicle inspection. There's 3 of us that do them during the daytime. And we sometimes can do around 16K. As soon as somebody else figures out that this is a great deal, we might lose some customers, but it's for right now, this is a good deal. We're trying everything we can to try and mitigate any budget shortfalls or dollars that are lost. Is there any question? I'm happy to answer them now.
Appreciate that, Nate. Yeah, as Nate said, is there any questions council has specific to any line items in its proposed budget?
Do this, Nate. I didn't see anything that had any concerns with. The biggest thing is the insurance premium, which you don't have any control over, so I don't have any comments.
So Nate, I looked at it as the overtime went up, I mean, quite a bit.
Yeah.
So does that count for like part-time officers and so forth?
Yeah, I believe that comes out of our part-time, correct? Yes.
Yeah, and I understand then. All right, thank you.
Nate, does that overtime figure have an impact if we hire another officer? Is there some of that that would offset the 106 or whatever that number was?
Right. Let's say I'm gonna use a very easy number of 1,000 for OT. That's not the correct number. That's the easy number. I imagine as we add on staff, the need for part-time obviously goes down. I imagine once we get up to maybe officer number 8, that's when I think I might actually eliminate the part-time position and just go with reserves after that. I honestly think we can do it then pretty easily. That part-timers just use as needed, just to bridge some gaps.
Fair enough. Thank you.
That overtime figure also includes like holiday payout, special events when we do special events. GTSB is all under overtime.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Mhm.
Shows the
Doesn't,
revenue
doesn't
here.
GTP, don't they pay for the overtime though?
They do, but we have to recognize it as an expense and a revenue. We don't net it out.
Okay.
So it washes through the revenues.
Something new. And then, what else was I gonna say about overtime? Oh, yeah, and there's some things that are just plain old unavoidable, such as court time, or, you know, you have to hang back after a call or whatever, you know.
So one other question I had was the small equipment
Yep.
went from, so we went from, we had 12,000.
Yep.
To, was that the actual last year?
I don't think so. The actual is probably more like 6,000.
Yeah.
12 is current for the
Yeah.
current budget right now.
Right now is
Yeah.
current 12? Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I don't have any questions then.
That's, I mean, that's, the 12 is what was budgeted for this fiscal year. Do you know where he's at? We can grab that for you if you want.
One of the items that it's probably not terribly close. One of the items that I put on small equipment is our body cameras. It used to be under uniform. And I thought that was I thought maybe it was more appropriate to have small equipment.
Also, I thought the weapons was a little low, or ammunition, because that's a big liability for us. I mean,
Yeah.
we should be, do you guys
yeah,
shoot once a month?
once a year.
What?
Otherwise you have to do it on your own. Qualify once a year.
Once?
And that also covers our taser cartridges, and yeah, so we do that once a year too.
Okay, so I'd say that was very low then.
It is, but again, trying to be responsible and.
But liability wise, I mean, you should be qualified twice a year at least.
We think so too, but yeah, we kind of just shoot on your own, shoot your own ammo and pay for your own. And
They're
find a
paying for
spot.
their own ammo?
If they're shooting on their own, yeah. But
Okay,
for qualify,
okay, yeah, I agree.
we're
with
covered,
that.
qualify, yeah,
So we only have one certified shoot?
that's right.
Okay.
Got a question, but I think Barb might be of benefit, so I'll wait a minute.
This went, man, I got a couple questions, but I think it'd probably go more Barb's direction than your direction.
Well, while we're waiting for Barb, if there's anything else,
What's the transfer in from Lost? And I feel like I read that.
I'm sorry.
somewhere. The transfer in from Lost?
Local office.
Thank you. Okay.
Nate, you're doing your best to estimate like the rest of us, but fuel is going down by 25%. Is that?
Don't know.
Feel about that?
That's, I asked her to pull the fuel number too.
Okay.
That's another concern I had.
Well, it's recent
Yeah.
activity,
I mean,
you know, yeah,
Yeah. You're making the best assumptions you can, obviously, but
yep. And if we find out that through, half year that we're over, we're gonna have to, we'll mitigate somehow, some way. Just figure it.
Yeah, cause 24-25 was almost 8,000, but I would probably almost want to double that just to be safe.
Yeah. We've grown, so we've got more territory.
Well, yeah, exactly, and there's possibility yet more.
We're looking at 26.7, which is double.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
so the last one that we see here was 24-25, which was almost 8,000. And then we don't have the current numbers for this year. Okay. You think you've used about the same gas, do you think?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay, you wanted small equipment?
Yes.
Okay, this is as of the end of February, so this number has not been reconciled yet, but should be pretty true to form. Small equipment is at $6,156.04. And fuel is at $7,688.47.
So that's through 2/3 of the year approximately, so. You should go through about 11,000 in fuel, 12,000 maybe this year in fuel, so. Yeah, I guess I feel better about that 15 number than
Kind of a nice deal, yeah.
roughly,
Yeah.
so.
We'll still try and be responsible with our fuel consumption, though. I mean, that's one area where we can save some money. Still do an effective job.
I had a question on, I guess, two insurance numbers, the 6150, I assume is medical insurance, health insurance. And
Yes,
we're projecting that that will go down because it's 92 this fiscal year and it'll go down to 85. Is that accurate?
that's accurate. We budgeted for a bigger increase last year since we didn't have the figures quite yet
Okay,
before the budget. So the budget's we won't see that figure this year.
okay, thank you for that. And then 6408 insurance premium.
That's the building and liability and vehicles, and I have no idea why we budgeted 12,000 for this
Okay,
fiscal year.
that was probably an inaccurate figure.
Previous two.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the previous two were in their thirties, and
Yeah.
before that, I have no idea how it was being allocated.
Fair enough. Thank you.
I would ask about workers' comp too. I know with workers' comp, you don't know until the year's over to what it is with the audit. The last year we budgeted 9,000. We're looking at raising wages and decreasing workers' comp. And so that just doesn't make sense to me that where workers' comp is based on wages to begin with. It doesn't make sense that we're increasing wages and decreasing insurance.
Workers' comp actually came in, we've made all of our work comp payments. And the difference that we made up, so work comp actually came in at $4,600 for this year.
For 2024-25.
For 2025, 2026. For this fiscal year. This is the final work comp figure.
So that has to be you must be doing work comp on a calendar year?
Work comp is July through January. July, they bill us the total amount, and then we pay a big chunk of it in July, and then the rest is parceled out so that we aren't paying on it every month. We pay for it in so many installments, but the installments for fiscal year 26 are complete.
But then at the end of 26, then when they'll come back and look at your actual payroll.
Yep.
And then they'll do an audit and then there'll be an adjustment. So if their estimate was low.
That adjustment will go into fiscal year 27. Just like the adjustment for fiscal year 25 was expensed in fiscal year 26. Because that's when they do the adjustment.
How much is our adjustment usually at?
It was very minimal this year. It was, gosh, was it?
I mean, I'm just trying to,
It was maybe around $1,000.
yeah, I'm just trying to figure out heads and tails of this because looking at it historical, it makes no sense. You're at 11,000 and down to 600, then at 62 up to 9,000, down to 8,000. You're just not really sure how to gauge where we are.
A lot our mod factor has decreased. And again, a lot of that can be due to misposting.
Thank you.
So before we close, I would just make one suggestion on this. I didn't realize we were only qualifying once a year, right? Are you in agreement with me that we should be qualifying at least twice a year?
Yeah.
Could another qualifying be another $1,000? I mean,
Sure, we can find a way to do something, yeah.
I mean, with the
We'll figure
training, I would add another 1,000 on this. I mean, we're looking at liability. I have never heard of a department just qualifying once. I would suggest we do two qualifyings a year.
I mean, is 1,000 enough or?
Couldn't tell you. Let's see, we have probably, yeah. Couldn't tell you. If I could be allowed to get back to you by next week.
Yeah.
So you
that's
got,
fine.
you got 7
We'll-
officers.
We'll take a look. We'll have Nate see what they spent on the last one
Yeah,
and we'll just double that.
I would suggest it just for
Yeah.
our liability. Yeah,
Uh,
it would go under training and
it's-
plus it'd go under your
It's
ammunition
gonna go
and
under your
weapons
ammunition.
also.
Yeah, there's an actual ammo. It's
Let's put more-
6505.
So each
Make it
officer
up
would
to
probably
speed.
have 2
Yeah,
hours in
increase
training on it for the qualifying. And then each officer would have at least probably 100 rounds.
That'd be nice. Be nice.
Do you pay for a facility too or not?
No, we're in good,
You got it.
we get to
Yeah.
use Story County's range as long as they're not using it and as long as,
Gotcha.
as long as they're not using it. And they're generally pretty good, but we only have a few days. So last year we had to do it on the first day of school. I did not like that, but we had to do it.
Is there a general consensus amongst council members to look to increase that? Or any concern with doing so?
I would agree.
Okay. Barb, if you could adjust accordingly, please. Okay, any other line item questions or comments from council? Before I move to CIP. Okay, Nate, if you could give us kind of a brief overview of your CIP needs, whether
Sure.
those are short-term or longer term,
Right.
that
Yep.
would be helpful.
Actually fairly simple. First I'll go with animal control. This is once the Public Works vacates their buildings, I'd like to take over, at least have part of it. Couple different things. First, I'd like to make an actual decent animal run while we're there, while I have their building. If we have like a stray dog or stray cats, whatever. Right now, we just house them in our garage in a fairly small cage and it works. But I'd like to have something a little bit nicer in case we have something long term. I think we can make that homemade somewhere outside. And then if the dog gets to barking or whatever, at least it's not next to a residential area. It won't bother people at night. Things like that. I think we can do that at minimal cost. I also we've outgrown our evidence locker a lot. I'd like to be able to take some sort of interior cage inside the Public Works building as it is now, once it's empty. I'd like to keep some evidence that's not either, I don't know how to phrase this properly, but for cases that probably are not gonna have any resolution, but our evidence, we're obligated to keep it for a while, or at least it's important enough to do so. And evidence that isn't dependent on climate control or temperature or things like that, or doesn't have to be in a very inside spot. I'd like to create a cage inside, which is locked. And then be able to lock the Public Works facility, the actual building itself, and then be able to lock the cage. So that's 3 layers of basically barrier. So I think the integrity of the evidence will still remain, but we'll at least have some more room in our evidence locker. We just plain old outgrew it. I think we can do that for minimal too. I think actually we can maybe hand make that as well, homemade that as well. The last one will be police vehicles. I was asked to make a easy and predictable pattern for our police vehicles. Right now, we make our police vehicles last 6 years. Some more, some less, but I think that's kind of close to the industry standard. So as it sits now, my fleet's at 6. And I'd like the first year that vehicle to be with me, last year that vehicle to be with the school resource officer. So it is an easier first year and an easier last year. Okay. So what that really means is every single year we will get a new car. Starting this year, that rotation will work. 6 vehicles in the fleet, yes. Yeah. So that's the CIP going forward. I've already talked to a few people about prices and whatnot and upfits, and started haggling a little bit with and I think I can get some good prices there. And with the equipment account, can you tell me the name of that, Barb? Police Equipment Reserve. While that money is not in use yet, Barb's been nice enough to help me put it into CDs and make it grow while we're not using it. So I think if we, let's say that money comes in on July 1 and I don't make a buy until the fall, you know, I can put it in a 3-month CD and make it grow a little bit and make it work. So that's the plans. That's the long term. Other than that, I don't really have any needs. Our building is great. And our equipment, once we get this fleet thing going, we'll have a great fleet. And it'll be easy to predict. Cause I know you were here when we had, all of a sudden we had to buy 2 cars, and that just wasn't good practice for us. It just, I don't like doing that. Any questions on that?
Okay, any final questions or comments for Nate? I appreciate that overview.
Rob?
Okay, well, thank you very much, sir. Okay, up next we have fire. Travis, kind of the same process here, kind of give us an overview, then we'll go through the budget, then we'll do CIP, please.
As far as a overview, nothing changes much for this year. There is a small bump in the stipend. When I met with Barb and Dave, we talked about that a little bit. Cause it hasn't been changed in quite a few years. It's about 15% over the year. Fire calls and meetings, we did trend that up a little bit. I think year to date, we're about a third of that, but I know in the past, like last year, the budget was 20,000. I think we were pretty close to that. And we seem to be getting more.
I'm sorry, Travis, I'm gonna interrupt you. You, at fire calls and meetings, you're at 16,660 as of right now, so 83%. But we only have 1 more quarter to do fire calls and meetings.
So in the springtime, we'll see more grass fires, things like that, usually.
Yeah, so we'll do another payroll in April. And that'll be the last one for this fiscal year for fire calls and meetings, and there's 3,300 left in the budget.
Okay, and that's. Okay, so maybe we don't need to raise that up. Is that what you're saying?
It's just gonna depend.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's the
everything,
thing.
yeah, it's look into your crystal ball.
We don't know when the calls come. We don't know.
Can we just go with like raising at 5 then instead
Yeah,
of the
cut it in
10?
half or something.
Yeah. Shoot for that.
Be a good place to start. That way we know maybe for the following year. Yeah. Good with that. The stipends, is everybody okay with that? Okay. All right. Some of the numbers that are missing obviously is the revenues, the Palestine and Lincoln Townships. We are gonna have a meeting with Palestine Township.
You broke that.
That's just based on potential increase in valuations. Travis, just so you know, we will continue to talk with them, but they had to have their levy set by March 5th. So we won't see it for next fiscal year, but we could see it in fiscal year 28.
Okay. So
So Barb, were they good with raising their tax levy to the max?
We haven't started talking with them yet.
So the meeting that we're gonna have with them though is for hopefully part of the brush truck if we go that route. So let's see, then like the insurances, the federal tax, IPERS, I have no idea. That comes from, I think usually from Barb. Physicals are staying the same, basically. Dues, memberships and subscriptions, that did go up. We started a tracking system. It's called PS Tracks to track all of our equipment, expiration dates, things of that nature. We do truck checks when we bring a truck back from a call, make sure everything's on it, make sure everything's good. So that's what that's about. Training, that's gonna stay the same. I'm gonna try to push more people to do outside training, to get their 24 hours of fire training that's required. Community outreach, that's about the same. Building and maintenance, we can talk about that a little bit. We did just get done with the two heaters that were leaking. They were just fixed last week, I believe. So once I see the invoice for that, I'll get it turned in. But next year they will be replacing the AC unit. And then like the heat for the office area or meeting room area. So that's what that'll be for. Doors, I know we have a couple more openers that are gonna need to be replaced. They're still originally to the building. I think there's 4 left out of the 6. We put 2 new ones on last year. Accessories, new replacement, that's kind of gone down a little bit. I don't foresee us spending quite that much next year on that. A lot of that gets grouped into the auto and truck repairs, and that's why that number is up. Currently, it looks like as of now, we are at, let's see.
That I have-
12,644.
Let's see, and I've got for the end of February, 13,172.90.
13,000, okay. So that leaves us with $1,300 for the rest of the year. Or 1,300. Roughly. Fuel, I know you guys were talking about that with Nate. Again, I don't know what the costs are gonna do with that, so that's kind of an unknown.
They're currently at 1990. So about 66% of budget right now.
Okay. Yep, so, all right. Let's see, again, medical expenses, insurance, I don't know about that. Computer expense, we're gonna leave that flat at the 15. The tower fees. That's gonna stay at 15,000 because that's an unknown too. You never know when they're gonna raise that. You just end up with a bill someday. Miscellaneous contracts. That's pretty flat. Small equipment, we're gonna keep flat. That's about it. Miscellaneous commodities, same thing, flat there, so. Is there any questions about that part of it?
Questions from council on line items before we get to CIP type items?
So on the tower fees, it went up to 24, 25. It went up to 21,000, almost 22,000. What are we currently at, Barb? I mean, do we need to increase this?
The contract, isn't it?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
Yeah, so what are we paying so far this year?
as of January 31st, we were 17,197.
That's where we are right now,
Okay.
17,197. So
So somewhere
That-
between 17 and 22 is where we need to
yeah, we
be.
should probably up that.
Yes.
Okay.
So say 18,000.
18 just covered.
Yeah, because we're
Yeah.
at 17.
You're already at 18.
Yeah.
I'm not.
Cover some of that, but you'll notice that the sheriff's office and whatnot, they had that press conference about maybe half a year ago about how the state government for a state has been getting their little paws on the coffers of the E911 board's money, taking it into the state. E911 used to help mitigate some of the costs of all the radios. The E911 meetings have indicated to me that that's probably gonna erase pretty quickly, so.
Yeah, so it's only gonna go up.
You know, it's gonna go up. Well, I knew it was gonna go up, but I think it might go up a little bit quicker than we thought.
Yeah.
They're still willing to pay, I believe it's 20%, something like that, whatever it was, but that might be able to make further.
So it's possible it could go up 20% is what you're,
It
it could,
I-
you don't
know
know.
what, I'm gonna give you the contact of who to
Yeah.
talk to and then you get a good number.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Run rate wise, through 7 months, extrapolated out for annualized rated to be like 29.5. Then you're looking at where we're at right now, so what you're saying with the 20% increase that kind of jives in there, so.
We pay monthly or annually though?
It's once a year.
Once a year. So 17.2 covers the whole year.
This year, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So obviously you're with the fire department. Can we have you come up too?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I
He's,
I didn't want to.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
So
he's-
you're helping out with the
he's
fire
a numbers
department?
guy. let me tell
Okay,
you.
okay. So yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
You'll notice by the ambulance budget that he's a numbers guy for sure.
Yeah, just looking at it right there, like, and given that we're taking away 5 from up on the fire calls and meetings, at least adding 5 to it, I would probably look even a little bit more, maybe like 24,000, probably putting in there to cover, because for the tower fees. So increasing that basically $9,000 from what's in the current green section on your papers would be, I think, at least put us in a safe spot and cover what Nate was saying with the E911 aspect of it. That would be my take on that line. Yep. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we can do the CIP.
Yeah, the only thing I want to point out, which has been brought up, but just looking at this and with the township percentage being paid versus Huxley, I have no problem with the fire. I'd just like to see the townships pull their weight. I mean, currently, the only thing they're paying for is operations. And actually, we have decreased in the 24-25, we was at about 31%. We're down to 27% of the total costs that are being just operational costs. And we aren't talking anything about equipment. So here the taxpayers of Huxley are having to pay the majority, 75% of operations and 100% of equipment. I don't think that's quite equitable compared to the services we're providing to others. So I'd really suggest in these talks with the other townships to pony up and get up to speed to what's going on.
I'm guessing, and correct me if I'm wrong, Travis, but I'm guessing AJ wants to sit down and do Slater's at the same time we do ours. And Matt from Cambridge sent me theirs that they just redid with Union. They have a clause in there where Union Township will pay for part of the repairs of
Okay.
equipment.
Okay.
so
So
I did
I-
talk to those guys. Cambridge's contract is, they increased, plus they pay 50% of any, equipment repairs.
Okay.
So just repairs.
Okay.
So not replacement, but it's like say we're putting a new motor in, it's
Yeah.
like they're gonna pay 50% of that.
Okay.
So they did sign that contract, so and I think Barb and Dave are doing great, and AJ, one of our city employees, is working with he's on the council at Slater, so it's great that we're working together and then trying to find a contract with Palestine and Union to do this too.
What I found when I did go back and do the research, our current 28E agreement, what didn't we say 2010?
I
This
think
one
so.
was 25 cents per thousand is what Palestine is paying us per the agreement. But when I looked at Palestine's township budget, they're levying 52 cents per thousand. So, and they're not carrying over a lot either. So I'm trying to look at Slater's budget to see how that's divided up. If that 52 cents per thousand is a combination of our 25 and whatever Slater's charging.
I'm assuming, yeah.
So,
But just looking where things are going, I think the writing's on the wall as far as the state house is going, that we're not looking at any windfall increases in budgetary numbers coming forward. And at that, we're gonna have to really start looking at relationships and what we can do with equipment sharing and what makes sense in looking at all this, because the reality's coming, we're not gonna have the money to do it all.
I would agree with that. And I, like I said before, at a prior meeting that, where I was at before, it was a 60-40 split between the townships and the city on new equipment that would cover both rural and city. Obviously, just a city truck, which we don't really have just a city truck, but, that would be on the city, but I mean, we house the equipment that they should help pay for. So that's gotta do something, you know?
I don't mind, it's just that we're paying the majority of the operations and we're paying 100% of the equipment.
I don't disagree a bit.
There's gotta be a
Yep.
little bit more equitable share.
So we have that meeting coming up, prior to the council meeting, so hopefully I have an idea if they'll be able to, support that at all.
Appreciate that.
The new 28 East, just
Yeah.
as soon as we get this budget put to bed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Start, so we have them in place for 28.
Yep. agree
And
with
I
that.
think that's part of, with your discussion with them, I think you let them know that we are gonna look to up.
Yeah.
You know, that we are gonna change our 2080. It's.
Yeah.
16 years old, going on 17. It's time to change it and.
Absolutely.
It's like most volunteer departments that I've been with, it's the same thing. They would pay something towards the operation, but then, I mean, like when I was in West Liberty, the rural townships gave $20,000 a year that went into the equipment fund
Mhm.
that could be used for the equipment. So
Just so I'm clear, like, it's not gonna affect this one, but we're gonna ask for the next one because it's too late because our levies have been set. Okay.
Okay. Any other line items for the fire department to discuss or questions? Okay, hearing none. If you could do a CIP, short-term, longer term.
Yep.
Be great.
I guess long-term CIP would be, replacing, truck 206 with a 110-foot aerial. That should have been on the back of your sheets. I don't know if I printed out that way or not.
I don't think that got printed out.
Okay.
but
So basically I have a capital proposal on the back that talks about the ladder truck. Being long-term, that's probably, like I said, a 3 to 4 year from date of contract signing to when that would be, done and able to be picked up. So
That's
Um,
1.7 million, if I remember right.
it is, yes. And we're under a consortium with Sourcewell. So it's basically a single source. The bid has to meet a certain place instead of getting multiple bids.
Describe that for me. I'm not familiar with that.
So can you help with that?
yeah, there are several consortiums around that the cities belong to, and it's kind of like the DOT. They do the bidding on the equipment. So they've done that work. Basically, instead of going out for 3 or 4 bids, they send out specs, they spec out vehicles. Departments look to see what fits theirs and it's already been bid for
Yeah.
them. So I've bought stuff out of a consortium out of Texas. I bought ambulances and fire trucks and all sorts of stuff, but there are probably 3 or 4 that I'm aware of, and there's probably more of them.
Sourcewell is definitely the one that the city is part of currently, but that goes for any kind of equipment, payloaders.
Yeah, so there's the state bid list. I'm very
This
familiar
is,
with
this is
that.
like a
This
single,
is-
it's called a single source
It's
consortium.
unrelated, but yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
I can grab more information.
So-
In fact, when our sales guy, if we have a meeting, he can bring us some information he knows on.
So we use Sourcewell in both Ames and Grimes that I worked with. And it's like you said, they do the research and then, they have certain, organizations that, are on their list that this is like, CIF Tire in Des Moines is one. I think, yeah, I can't remember all the other organizations, but they do it's like Travis
Yeah.
said, they do the research and then that's the 3 bids.
Yeah. And Pierce happens to be part of that, and they're actually the only truck that would offer 110-foot single axle platform aerial.
But in your questioning, we would probably have to incorporate that as a city too, using it. Cause, but they do the research for you. No,
I know that we did find out that we are a part of Sourcewell. We do, yes, yep.
Okay.
So that would be like a 3 to 4 year deal. Out there. Is there any questions about that? Any specs or anything you wanna hear about before we?
so I will put this out here, I am not for a ladder truck. I'm just throwing this out here. And my reasoning is we can have a 2080 agreement with Ames. Cambridge currently has a 2080 agreement with Ames to use their ladder truck. If we have a fire on that. And then I'm just going from past history. When have we ever used a ladder truck? And 1.7 million, I think we can buy other equipment that's gonna be beneficial to you guys.
So yeah, if we were to purchase an engine, it's right at $1 million, basically. So it would be a, so it'd be an engine, yeah, it's pumper truck, it's got everything. Yeah, the only thing I was looking at for the ladder truck is the 3-story stuff. I mean, you got we were in Slater for a big fire and it took a while for Ames to get there. You know, things can go bad quickly, especially if it's a rescue or something. So that's the only reason.
Yeah, the only thing I look at is they house their staff there. They're right on South Duff here.
I don't disagree.
So, I mean, by the time you guys get to your station and get your equipment out, I mean, they're probably here. But I'm just throwing that out there, and I'm just one person. But it's 1.7 million. And my belief is that you guys could get better equipment, other than the ladder truck. And money wise.
Sure. Yeah.
So like I said, guys, I'm just one council member.
No, I did. It's fair. And the thing that we're thinking of too is the growth of the city. You know, how many more 3-story type buildings are going to get put up? How many, you know, and it would be a 20-year truck. It's not just for a year, you know, it's for the lifetime of that truck. On something like that, it's probably gonna be closer to 25 years.
How much more training are we gonna have with that truck? Plus, how much more? I know they have to have yearly inspections on the ladder and so forth. And how much is that gonna cost? And so that would be things that when you bring that to us, we would need all that information.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yep, no doubt.
Yeah, we'll get all that together.
Yeah. Do that.
What's
There's
the,
other options too, like
Yeah, like an engine.
or rescue pump or
What- what's the age of the current truck that would be?
It's 1998.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's 28 years. Yeah.
6
And NFPA, guidelines say 20, but that's obviously that's not always a requirement. It's a guideline. So
the
just the engine that's going to need to be replaced eventually.
What's the lead time for an engine?
Same.
It's the same.
Yeah.
Okay.
The brush truck is from 2003, Tracy. So.
The current fire station, I know there's been topics talked about of replacing that or what's the current status of that building? Does it meet your needs? Clearly, you're spending money on repairs and it's kind of
size wise, not. So the other thing that we would like to be able to do is if we can staff EMS, you know, we got people from out of town, but they can't stay at our station. So that'd be another big part of it, you know, have a couple bunk rooms where they're sprinkled. So it's actually able to be stayed in. There's that. Our meeting room gets very packed when we're having a meeting. That'd be nice if that was a little bigger. The base space, it's getting tight.
Yeah, like location wise with the expansion south of town, now it's becoming more and more centralized from where it was before. But we would need that area to the west side of the building expanded out to have like if you wanted to
do it
in
in the
lieu
same
of-
area.
Yeah, if you wanted to do it in the same area or do an add-on to the station in lieu of looking at a brand new building like that you would need that space where the sand volleyball court is basically to accommodate that. But especially if, you know, the new apparatus were to come in.
So right now
we'd be
we
space locked at this point.
We have basically 3 bays that you can park a shorter truck in, such as like our 1006, the
Pickup truck,
906.
UTV.
Those are parked there, but there's a bay that's basically not being used right now because it's not long enough to put any other trucks in. And that'd be right at the side where the meeting room and office is.
I would encourage council to to strongly think about that or consider that. The firehouse has been a need for a while, and as you pointed out, living quarters would potentially provide us better ambulance service, because now you've got folks on staff, additional hours. And it was never a long-term building. I mean, it's a metal building. It just was not a long-term building, which is fine. It served its purpose, but I see that as a real need. So I guess we'll just ask council to keep that in mind as we're talking bigger picture CIP. So, are there any additional CIP type questions for fire before we get to ambulance? Any closing remarks, Travis?
That should be it for that. We will have the information. I mean, we've got some of it now too for the brush truck. I don't know if that's wants to be discussed now. Okay. So we do have some good talking points on that. I did bring 3 estimates as well that I can hand out to everybody. Basically, I'll just hand them out first. There is the first one, as I talked the other night, is mainly a basic heads. The problem is this thing has gone through multiple turbos in the last 10 years. When the turbos go out, this here, the parts go somewhere. Yeah. So what I'm afraid of is they were invested, and that's why we keep having issues. Oil consumption, things like that. So like I said, the first one is basically just to replace the heads with unknown. And then the other 2 are for an engine replacement. I spec them as Ford remanufacturer because they're going to do it best.
And this particular year of truck to the 2003 60, it was the first year that they transitioned from the previous 7.3 liter Power Stroke to the 60 for emissions purposes. And with that came a bunch of headaches that it's a known problem motor. So the known issues, if you can do a simple Google, but it's like your EGR is going to go bad, your head gasket's going to go bad, your turbos are going to go bad, fuel injector, injection control module is going to go bad. Well, and if you look at the history of this truck over the last 10 years, we've replaced 3 turbos, an EGR valve, fuel injection control module, coolant reservoir, steer tires, fuel tank, fuel pump, all within the last 10 years on a truck now that's sitting at 23 years old. And now with the pending repairs of head gaskets, possibly heads, and we don't know what you're going to get into. The running board from the blown tire that we had this past fall needs to be fixed yet. And there's been like a wobble in the front end a little bit ever since that blown tire as well. So I don't know if there's axle issue going on. And then the primer on the pump as well as doesn't work. So you got those issues there. Is the truck serviceable, like life-wise? Yeah, the truck could work. Does it fit our current needs? Not necessarily. It's a heavy truck. It's got duals. Your chances of getting stuck out there in the field can increase with that. And like, as far as like, if you do get stuck, there's no good place from the rear side of that to really pull out. It's got tow hooks in the front that you could get yourself out of. And then safety concern wise with this rig, we got to factor in too, because we want our crew safe, but to get up to the top where we keep all of our rigs and stuff, you got to climb up on these itty bitty, and I'm not kidding, they're like this big on the stairs, and you're doing that in wet boots at night out in the field, muddy, climbing up there, climbing over top of a pump. And then also for spraying water, there's no real good place to be able to do that accurately and have a field of vision on that apparatus. And on the newer style trucks, you'll see like a catwalk area that's a lot safer that you could stand in and help put out fires that way. The 4-wheel drive aspect on this truck too, you got to stop the truck, lock the hubs in, get back in, manually shift the differential into 4-wheel drive from 2-wheel, whereas the newer style you can do 4 on the fly. So it's a timing aspect with that as well. I think, from a UTV aspect, having multiple UTVs out there, it's a twofold effect, right? So you need 2 people really to operate a UTV, one driver and one that's going to be spraying water. So the gallon that a UTV holds is 70 gallons of water, whereas this apparatus holds 400 gallons. So realistically, you would need 6 UTVs and 12 people to show up to have the equivalent amount of firefighting capability. So a response rate for a department size that has 20 EMS and fire associates on it to have a response of 12 people is asking a lot. Usually you see about a 25%, so you get in that 5 to 6 range. The other aspect with the UTV is you're fighting the fire from the dangerous side, right? Because it's ultra high pressure, so you can't be in the black where the ground is already burned, because if you do and you spray it, you're spreading the fire further to fuel, so you have to be on the fuel side. So there's a safety aspect with that as well. And then visibility and route to a call on those UTVs, it's scary. Like you're going down the road at 65 miles an hour in a UTV, and people already don't see you in an engine or an ambulance, much less a tiny UTV. So that aspect of it, I think that factors into it. And the other thing that's also important is communication on the fire ground. So you cannot hear a radio going down the highway or when you're on scene, and to know like, hey, we need you up here is vitally important. Now you can get headsets, but then you're talking about adding to, $1,500 to $2,000 for a pair of headsets for each of those apparatus then as well. So I think too, the department has been good stewards of the city's money, especially with the association. It's raised money to purchase the 906 UTV apparatus, as well as 1006 first responder apparatus. We just split the cost on new fire helmets. We were able to find a portable generator that now one of our department members has worked on, and it's going to be able to help power the station in the event of power failure and have, lights and run garage doors and all that stuff. And almost all the small repairs on the units, crew members will go up and take time out of their day and away from their families to fix the apparatus themselves. So we, obtained 5 different quotes on this on 606, and just looked at current and future department needs, because we can't be looking in the rearview mirror saying, I wish we would have done this. We'll wire up the winch yourself, saves cost on that side of things. And we're avoiding putting items on there like foam to help reduce, the maintenance that's involved with that.
Like a $15,000 option.
Yep. And so
What we have, not to
Yeah,
interrupt
no,
you,
you're
but
good.
what we've decided to do if we get this would be just an eductor nozzle. So basically you would carry a 5-gallon bucket of foam and you can educt it through the pump that way versus an actual foam system.
And the aspect of the truck that Travis had presented last time, it's a demo truck. It's got a lot of bells and whistles on it, but it's at you're getting more bang for your buck, essentially, more truck at that price point. And as Travis noted, we're getting into peak season fire. You've seen what's going down in Oklahoma and Kansas. We obviously don't want that here, but we need a dependable rig, and 606 is one of our rigs that goes out most frequently. Not just for brush fires, but it can also show up to, a house fire as first while the engine gets loaded up with other individuals.
It's like a quick attack, basically.
Yep.
I'm looking back at my notes. Was the demo truck, was that 153.5? I wrote those numbers down for some apparent reason.
225.
225.
For 3 that
Option
year.
3, okay, thanks.
Yep.
And then was that all, because I know you guys do your own fundraising, so was any of that money from fundraising on your own, or is that all tax dollars?
No.
No wrong answer.
Not on this.
Okay,
It's actually a combination of local option dollars and donations that the department has received. That's what would be paying for it.
Just last month, I think we deposited a $57,000 check. That was a donation.
Yeah.
So that's in that account.
I think we said there was over 500,000 in that account right now.
I think he told me the other day it was 557.
Mhm.
So my problem with this is, we've asked for, and I, don't get me wrong here, but we've asked for this estimate several times here in the last few days.
Yep.
And we could have had this before tonight's meeting. Hang on a second.
I just want to make sure you have it before the council.
Okay, so again, would have been very beneficial to us to look at these.
Yep.
the original estimate of repair was a lot less than what we were told last week.
That was basic repair.
Okay.
That wasn't.
So, the mechanic evidently worst case scenario, best case scenario, on this, and was well under the amount that you gave us. I'm not opposed to this, but I also, after that, I went down and looked at your guys' truck. And it is 22 years old, but the thing looks brand new.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's got 14,000 miles on it.
Yep, just.
And it does have the running board
Yeah.
accident on it.
Yeah.
And evidently it's had the gas tank ripped out on it, because evidently you're like you said, low.
Yep.
And then Travis, you said that the dualies was a problem,
Yes.
correct? Slater just had theirs converted to single axle for $10,000.
Yep.
So, I mean, we're looking at, we could probably repair this and go to single axle for under $20,000. And, but the problem is, like, I didn't know this before. The problem is it's set so low. And I understand the four-wheel drive kicking in, but I mean, before you leave the fire station, we could kick the four-wheel drive in. So I'm just throwing these things out here.
Yeah.
And I know, I mean, after talking to the city guys, the public works guys, they're biting at the chimp that, hey, if you guys get a new truck, they want this truck because they want this truck for a dump truck.
Well, there's other.
Yeah,
people
our
that
staff.
Sell
So-
it to too.
So that, here's the problem, that we're not gonna sell it because we have a policy now that if another department can use it, that truck's gonna go to the other department.
Okay, gotcha.
So,
They currently using, I was just gonna ask Jeff,
so,
are we currently using that old ambulance? Okay, good.
so,
We gave them that to.
so you gotta realize that too, is like, I don't know how we do this, but I know that another department wants that truck if you guys are gonna buy a new truck.
Yep, yeah.
So I'm just throwing all this stuff out here, and however the other council members want to go with it.
The one thing that I just want to say, and we've said it earlier about our engine too. And a PA does say 20 years and it's older than that. If something happens, let's say we get caught in something, the wind changes, comes back, something happens, that's gonna be an issue. I'm just throwing that out there.
Okay, so we also got an issue with your 1998 truck.
We do.
So, and I would be more apt to,
The 1998 truck doesn't go out into a field where the wind can change directions.
but it does
It's
service
safe.
it does service this community.
It does. Yep.
And it's probably used more than,
No, it's,
This is used more.
okay.
206 is the least used apparatus
Yep.
at the
And-
station. 606 would argue.
And that truck is used mostly in county.
That's why we're meeting with them to try to get them to help out.
Yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
I don't want to be a contentious guy. I just.
No, we're just trying to, everybody get the facts.
All the questions
You
are
too.
fair.
Yeah.
No, we're here to answer them, so ask away.
Travis, I think you mentioned previously, you've got some nice software now where you're really tracking some things. We don't need to see every nut and bolt that you've got in inventory, but the large equipment,
Mhm.
is that something you can provide us?
Oh, yeah.
You know, the age of it, the recommended replacement.
Absolutely.
So we've got a better understanding of that.
Yeah, we inventoried everything, air packs,
Sure.
the jaws.
Big ticket
everything.
items, right?
Yeah.
It's,
Yep.
might be helpful for
Yeah.
people, so.
It's gonna help with future planning for sure.
Absolutely. That's what we're looking at.
And stuff is set to expire and all that.
Yep.
Yeah, I would just finish up on my thoughts on this. I appreciate the information because information's golden here, but we're talking, we got multiple trucks that we're looking at. I heard a comment of a $1.7 million ladder truck, and then we're talking $1 million engine and yeah, either or,
Yeah.
but we've got that. I mean, that's a lot of money compared to what we've got in the bank today. And now we're talking another $250,000 added into this. I think for me, figuring out what is gonna be our equipment needs for a period of time, because I'm not a rocket scientist, but I can tell you that we don't have enough money to accomplish everything that's been talked about. So I think we're gonna have to really have a discussion on what is our priorities. And yes, I would love new and shiny too, but does it make sense? And then I think the other elephant in the room is not knowing what other income is coming to help us with this.
From the state.
Yeah, from the township, if we're gonna get anywhere in the township in the future on any of this. So we've got a lot of wish list here. I'm just not sure what's the best avenue without full information. Does that make sense where I'm coming from?
Yeah, I guess my one take on it is I believe you've identified 3 trucks that we should be replacing. One of them is 4 years out. This is one that I believe it was item 3 that we could get immediately or 2.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't have the money for all of them, but there was in reserve the money for this one, correct, Barb? And I feel like we're behind the 8 ball. I also gave my 2 cents on where the tax levy is, which I get is an unpopular opinion. I pay the same taxes in case people didn't realize that I live in town. Yeah, no discount for city council. But my concern is that we do have a bunch of large items coming up and we need to start replacing them before we have, 4 of them all needing replaced the same year. So.
That's part of the reason that we, just in the last couple of years is we took the local option. I don't know what was done with the local option tax dollars before. But in order to get equipment, to put money aside to be able to purchase equipment or a down payment, because sometimes, I don't really want to bond for part of a big fire truck, but I know cities that do. But we've tried to put some substantial money from local option the last couple of years into this, knowing that there were some needs coming up. And we look at the needs every year as we go through it and we see where we're going to put money, but we also want to be fair with all of the departments. And if we've got a department that maybe is not getting a lot, but has a project that we want to fund, we're going to take a little more we're going to give them a little more 1 year and then get back at looking at where we're going. But
I think another aspect of this too to consider is like there's grant writing that we can do. Obviously, Nevada raised over 300,000 for their newest apparatus, so that's an aspect as well. I think currently our immediate need is the brush truck. That's a real concern, both for the community and for the crew at the station. And then if ultimately the 28E, if we want to look at that with Ames or Ankeny on the ladder and then look more at an engine replacement instead, that takes you 1.25 million between those two. You have 527,000 in reserve right now. Continuing to use that local option aspect along with the grant writing, I think you can get there. Maybe not in the 3-year period, but maybe at the end of a 5-year period, you'll probably be looking at being able to fund that all together. Yeah. Just throw that out there.
Money guy with you.
So one thing we also got to look at also is not just equipment, but staffing right now. Cause well, not just fire, police, public works, streets, water, wastewater, parks. I think we're understaffed, period. But how do we only have what, 36,000 over our budget, somewhere around there. So
We got about $33,000 more this year from our CGFL.
So there's the problem. I would love to give it to you guys. But yeah, whatever you guys want to do with the truck.
I got a quick question. Would 28 agreements work on any of this stuff? Is there a need that Huxley needs a full set of everything? Cambridge needs a full set of everything. Slater needs a full set of anything. Or on some of this equipment, could we do agreements with each other and help reduce the costs instead of having 3 to 4 of the same thing sitting that close in mileage? Is there a time we're using all of it? And if it is that case, aren't we bringing in departments, Ames, other areas to come help? I mean, when you get something big,
Yeah.
you're always gonna have people help out. We help out with others also. But my question is, do we need, take for instance, a brush truck? Do we need a brush truck in Cambridge, Huxley and Slater all? Or could we maybe pool together and say, okay, we're gonna get 2 brush trucks and put them here and here, and maybe even bring Kelly into the equation or whatever the case being, and maybe try to accomplish the same thing without just having redundancy in 4 spots. And I don't know how well that would work, guys. I'm just throwing out an option, because if money's an issue and we know that money's not growing on trees, we're gonna have to look at creative ways to come about things. And I'm just throwing that out there. Is there any possibility for agreements anywhere to help us out?
Yeah.
I'll let you respond.
Yeah, so there are agreements. We're auto paged with both Cambridge and Slater, Kelly as well. So if there's something, if it's a structure fire, they call 3 departments. Whether it's us, Kelly and them, or the same way over here. So that is an agreement that's been through, I'm assuming a 28 degree, I gotta see that, but the same thing though, if we have a call, they come here. For legit structure fire, that's the only time it's auto paged is for that.
Yep.
And that has a lot to do also with like insurance ratings, ISO ratings, that you have auto aid like that. But to answer your question about like the brush trucks, we've had every brush truck from Cambridge, Slater, and Kelly here with us before. And it moves quickly. The problem is field and grass fires move that quick. You know, so we got to be able to respond quickly.
So Cambridge, in me checking this week, I went to Cambridge and I went to Slater. Both Cambridge and Slater, this is probably not going to be good for you guys. I mean, because both of those departments have 2 brush trucks. One was, Cambridge was really expensive. The other one they kind of put together. Slater, put their most recent one together, with a, 400 gallon, tank, I believe, and single axle, for $80,000. But they do have another, brush truck. They have 2 brush trucks.
Yeah.
So, but the one they just built,
Straight truck on the tank.
it's a 550, frame
Little
and.
flatbed probably.
Yeah, yep, flatbed with the 400 gallon, and then the pumper was a diesel engine.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and then they converted it from dual,
Yeah.
like what you talked about, to
Those
single.
are the
And that's where I got the quote, was like $10,000 to do that.
Yep.
So anyway, and we're bigger than both of those communities, and we just have one that isn't what you guys want. So, yeah,
So
a lot of information out there.
one thing about having 2 brush trucks at those communities, if it's a daytime fire, they might only get 1 out because that's the number of people they have in town with both towns. You know, same way with us, we could put 2 people out and we've got a fully functioning truck that could put out a lot of fire quickly. So that's part of that, I guess.
I think it's a fair assumption to say that there's probably never going to be a brush fire within corporate limits. The brush fires, you might have a ditch fire along 60.
We did out by the Manats.
Okay.
Where that we've had
The ravine
by the
area
trail.
there. Yep, yep.
Yeah. So I mean, it could happen.
It could, the vast majority of what we're fighting though is in the townships, presumably.
Yeah. As a quick attack, yeah. Like Joe said, if we've only got 2 people, they can run that thing to get a knockdown and tell our engine is staffed to get there. Yeah.
How much do we use the truck that we just purchased 3 years ago?
Rescue truck.
The Rescue 806.
Yeah.
Anytime there's an extrication call.
So how many extrication calls do you, not calls for ambulance?
Right, I'm talking
But
extrication.
extrication, yeah.
Extrication. In the last year, I'd have to look at the numbers.
Yeah, so if we could have that information too, because I know that,
Yeah.
that vehicle was.
220,000.
Yeah.
230,000,
Yeah. And that vehicle had foam capability too, and.
Yep, mainly for car and
Yeah,
that kind of fire.
so that'd be used out on the interstate mostly.
Interstate
For
69.
car
in
fire.
town, right down here in town.
Yeah.
At 69 and
Okay.
First Street.
But yeah, I remember yeah, that was what, 3 years ago?
It was.
Yeah, yeah.
And we added
And
water.
that was like top of the line.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's got
And-
the ultra high pressure.
It is.
Yeah,
aspect
yeah,
to it.
yeah.
It's good, great for car fires.
Yep.
yeah. But again, how many? Yeah, I'm more of a data person,
No,
it's like,
that's
how
fine.
many car fires are we having? And
And we can get that
Yeah.
information for you. That's fine.
I just wanna make sure we have the right equipment for what we need. I mean, everybody'd like to have everything new, but I don't know any of us that can afford to have everything, so.
Okay, so Travis is going to provide some additional information that's been discussed tonight in regards to the brush truck only. Do you want that to come back as a work session item at the next council meeting? Do you want that to be a resolution item at the next meeting? How do you want to proceed with just the brush truck piece of it?
if there's something that is like an emergency that, I mean, they're looking at, they have to do. I mean, probably need to bring it to.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I don't know. It's your guys' department. You need to decide.
And that's
That's
our immediate need. It
That
really
would
is.
be where I would, yeah.
Okay, I would ask staff, obviously you'll provide us the information that's been discussed, but if we could make that a resolution item at the next council meeting, appreciate
I
that.
would just add to that though, and I don't mind if it comes to as a resolution, but just keep in mind if we're gonna be spending half of what we got now, our ability to rush out and buy something grandiose in the real near future is gonna be limited. So we're gonna have to know that it's gonna be a trade-off here because we just can't do it all.
Our first out engine right now is a 2016. So, I mean, that's the first out. The older one goes out as a second unit. Yeah. But the thought was there in 3 to 5 years, whatever, then the 2016 moves to the back, to secondary engine, and the new one would be a first out.
And then just realize our policy that if another department
Yeah,
wants that vehicle,
Yep.
it doesn't go for sale. It goes to that department.
Yeah,
The whole vehicle goes to that department and they,
Yep, just like our old ambulance.
yes,
Yep,
yes.
They took it just like it was, yeah.
Okay.
I think we took the lights off it is all, but
Any closing comments from fire before we move to ambulance?
I don't think I have any unless there's any more questions. Or comments, okay.
Appreciate that. We'll move along to ambulance, kind of same thing, give you an opportunity to do an overview, then we'll go
Yeah.
through budget, and then we'll do CIP.
Yeah, for sure. So on the ambulance side of things, we recently moved to a 24/7 jump ambulance service aspect, with that being that we are now the first paged for the ambulance for all local Huxley calls. It's no longer Mary Greeley. We've been running with that since December 3rd.
When you say 24/7, we're staffing 24/7?
Not staffing, we're jumping as volunteers 24/7.
Okay.
To take on additional calls that were previously going to Mary Greeley, so we can bring in additional transport revenue dollars using that service.
So I got one question with that. So how many ALS qualified?
So there's two individuals.
Just two?
Yep, yep.
So how do we do 24/7? Are we,
We do BLS 24/7. We can tier with Mary Greeley if we need ALS support. So if there,
so it doesn't have any delay?
No, because we have an app that shows who's responding.
Okay.
If we see that one of the ALS.
And then
we can immediately-
dispatch will not put you out if you don't have an ALS on call.
They do. So for 24/7,
Yes.
we're considered a BLS service
Yep.
unless we have the 2 ALS people in town, one of the two.
Okay, my only problem with that is if we're not a 24/7, Mary Greeley is dispatched right away. And then with you guys doing this 24/7, they're not dispatched right away until you guys decide if
It'd
they
be
need.
roughly like 3 minutes later that you would see that there's not an ALS person on the.
So you're getting to the call in 3 minutes?
No,
Respond.
responding on our
Okay.
app in 3 minutes, and then we would immediately radio in, hey,
Okay.
Mary Greeley, we need you for tier service.
Because the app does say what the call is.
Okay,
and
yeah,
they-
okay,
they see
yeah.
who's responding immediately.
all right, okay, all
So you
right.
push respond, yeah.
So that aspect of it, from the wages and salaries, so we have a total of 7 EMT, AMT, and a paramedic on staff, on the department, right? So, usually we average about 1.25 individuals that have to jump each of those calls. And one driver that's, driving them, to the transport facility. And so that was what was used for maintaining those wages. We did not increase from the $8 an hour that if they are on duty. So we have some out of town folks that would, be on duty, they get the $8 an hour. And then we did not change any of the $70 for the medic and then $30 for the driver. All those remain flat. We're going to continue to operate as is. We want to prove ourselves even more. And then, down the future, in the future, look at maybe returning to a staffed facility. But for now, we're going to keep running it like this. We're doing a good job. We have a very dedicated group of volunteers. We did increase the chief stipend, and it went from $100 a month to $400 a month. And the reasons why are, there's on the ambulance side, first off, our volume of calls, we had 362 calls last year, 321 of them were related to medical. So you're talking 89% of total call volume relates to medical. There's daily interaction with PCC, which is the billing company, healthcare facilities, for follow-up questions regarding calls. There's reordering supplies, restocking, auditing charts, training, onboarding, orientation, attending offsite meetings, a flurry of things that are done on a daily basis. And this gets it more in line with the fire side. Between the deputy chief and the chief stipend, it's $467 a month. This gets it to $400 a month. Not quite exactly equal, but it at least gets it in line. And I'm saying I'm proposing within this to move it to $400 because of these aspects.
Oh, so that's not what's on the budget.
Yes, it is. Yeah. $4,800 for EMS deputy stipend.
Should be on this budget sheet, right?
Oh, I got it.
And that's on the fire one.
No, that's a ambulance.
I've got it on the ambulance at 14.
I have it.
We talked to Travis with that. We got the wrong one. We're talking about.
Okay.
Increase for both.
Or did
$200.
do you want to just pull open the one that I sent you back in December?
Which,
Or I can forward it to you now if I have it.
602.
6022 is the line item referring
That's
to
correct, yes.
4,800. It'd be $400 a month. And what I'm saying is, yes, proposed. And what I'm saying is that at least gets it within spitting distance of the combined between fire deputy, fire chief. And when you look at the volume of calls that the department experiences, it at least gets it in line. Yep. So FICA, just the 6.2%, like standard FICA rate, Medicare 1.45% of total wages. When you look at the IPERS, we've been running at roughly a 9% run rate past couple of years. So use that for another comparable. Work comp, we've been running about 4.12. Obviously with the audit, it might change.
Stop you a second real
Yeah.
quick.
they put on my microphone. That's great that you're going through all this. However, none of our numbers are gonna be accurate because we just moved the wages up from 1,400 to 4,800. So if everything is a percentage, all them numbers will go up accordingly.
Okay, yeah, I have all my numbers reflective of that. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I apologize, Joe. I will go back and double check what you sent me.
Yeah,
Make sure.
yeah, please do. I can forward it as well. So I'm not worried about it. I know I submitted. So, when we look at the staff development side of things, so one of the things that we, wanted to do, is, looking at the EMR solution for some of our first responders. And so that allows them, if, somebody medical wise isn't around, they can help with like the lift assist type calls. They wouldn't have to necessarily wait for Mary Greeley to come down in that instance if there wasn't a medical person around. So we want to get, we proposed having 3 of those responders, roughly $2,000 is in there. And then also we would like to look at getting another EMT on and tuition reimbursement, roughly $2,500 is what was put in there for that. And then continued use of outside trainers. We have a great in-house trainer now with Garrett Fagan, who returned. He's doing fantastic, but we'll still have like the CPR course and stuff and other ones throughout the year. So that's what you're seeing on the staff development side on the increase in that line item. One of the things too, I was going to say, whenever there's an increase, so back to the stipend, how are you going to pay for that? So one of the things that I've done is we currently use a scheduling software system that runs $3,000 a year. I've now created that in a model that is free and it can be calculated. And so we can eliminate that cost to help offset that. So you want to spend, how can you pay for it? Doing that aspect. So throwing that out there as well. For repairs and maintenance, I plan on doing a DOT service inspection, brakes and drums, front tires, and then potentially shock struts may be needed. So that's really what's in there for that. We also have a preventative maintenance scheduled for our power cot, which we use. That's $535. Replacement, we're getting on a replacement cycle for cot batteries. We replaced one this last year. We want to do another one this next year. It's $1,159. And then FirstNet for phone service, iPad, hotspot, that runs about $3,300. And then fuel wise, we're going to drive roughly 3,800 miles based on the call volume that I put in here. We get roughly 7 miles to the gallon. It's 543 gallons. The EIA futures, when I looked at this back in November timeframe, were slightly different than what they are now, but the wholesale diesel price at that point was $2.36 a gallon. So that's how the fuel cost came about. Obviously, that's going to be malleable.
Joe, I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt you for a minute. I'm pretty tied up the rest of the week, but I'm showing only a year to date on the fuel for the ambulance at $19.99. And I'm wondering if some of the fire fuel's getting written, or some of the ambulance fuel's getting written to fire. So I'd like to go over that with you.
Absolutely. Yep. For contractual services, so what falls under here would be like our medical director. We pay a quarterly fee to Dr. Flugrad. So that's $1,200 annually. Our billing contract with PCC is 8% of total revenues collected. So I just based that on what the revenue at the top of your sheet is at 8%. I threw in some dollars for, we live in a litigious society. If we happen to need legal advice, so there's $1,800 of legal out there. And then the image trend, state reporting system, and PS Tracks aspect of it makes up the remaining of the contractual services. And then when you look at commodities, you'll see an increase in the small equipment account. And most of this relates to what is needed for Garrett to be able to intubate. So he needs a laryngoscope. And that's a relatively expensive piece of equipment. $3,500 is what I found. And I talked with him on what he would look for. We also have a couple backboard scoops that are out of spec, out of date, and would need replaced. Those are $1,500. And then we have some other smaller equipment items that add up to $2,500. So we have that. Ambulance supplies, which includes, saline, IV catheters, admin kits, O2 refills, Lucas device cups. Roughly about $7,500 is what's allocated for that. And then general office supplies, paper, ink, batteries, pens, maps, another $400. And so that walks you through every single line item on that aspect. A lot of time and was put into getting all the details for that stuff. Yeah, so total expenses, I have at 141,786. Yep. Which hopefully is on. What's that one listed?
Instead of the 138.
138.
Which would be roughly that delta on the stipend. So. Yep.
So you guys.
Yeah, so we do a ton of community events. We are very active on our Facebook posting. And so every time we're out there, hey, come join the department type deal. We've created videos. But yeah, we're active on the recruiting side. Unfortunately, the society that we're in is like what used to be one income households now have to be two income households to do it. With that, sports, you all know, with your kids, take up a ton of time. And so people's time to be able to do volunteer or join departments like that, it just, the pool is getting more and more limited. So it's tough to add new members, but we are actively trying to do so.
Part of that happens to do also with a lot of people working outside of the town.
Yeah.
You know, they can't commit.
Yeah, bedroom community for sure. Yep.
Makes a big difference.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah,
Sure.
very knowledgeable. Yep.
Okay,
Yeah, he'll be the trainer for both fire and EMS, and he's good. Some of the calls too, with him being a paramedic, really helps. He's very knowledgeable.
What questions does council have specific to line items in the proposed budget for ambulance? I'll start just because they're 6408 insurance premiums.
Yes.
Can you explain? what's
Yeah, so
going
I
on?
talked with Barb, we came up, it's supposed to be allocated all to the fire side is what we had discussed. I think in one year, if you look at 22, 23, there was $14,810 randomly in there. But it's related to your GL and AL the insurance premium side of things. And so that should have fallen to fire. So you'll see it's not included in this year's. Yep,
Mhm.
yep. You're welcome.
I assume that's same with utilities.
Yes, correct.
Pretty straightforward budget, so I mean.
Yeah.
There's not a big ask here. So we'll move on to CIP, ambulance CIP, kind of short-term, long-term. What are your needs?
Yeah. So Lucas devices, we have two of them currently at the station. They have an 8-year replacement cycle. Roughly right now, it's about 22,000. It's going to increase obviously each year. So that I put in there for 26, 27, a $24,000 Lucas 3 mechanical CPR device. Our cot too, it's the original from when you got the ambo back in 2015. So we're at like 11 years on the Stryker power cot aspect. And so it's a decision to make, like we could either reinvest into that Stryker cot aspect, or we could continue just putting funds into ambulance reserve for a new ambulance, say in like 2030 or 2031 or something. So that was in there at $40,000, and then replacing the second Lucas out in 28, 29. Again, adding for inflation, probably going to be at 27,000 at that point. And then the remaining 2 fiscal years after that, just adding to our ambulance reserve fund because the new ambo is going to run at least 300.
What's the strike?
Oh, so
Why are they running that?
so that's yeah. So right now it was at 38,000. Yeah. And so I put 40 in there, and hopefully it sticks close to that. But yeah,
It's been a couple years since I bought one, but I figured it would probably put you for.
yeah, yep.
When we bought the new ambulance, I think we took the old ambulance and put it kind of as the second or backup. Is that still the same scenario?
It's-
That's the one that
that's
went
the
to that.
same. Actually,
So you have one,
Correct. Yep.
one truck. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Any closing comments from ambulance?
I appreciate you taking time to listen to us and
Yeah.
field
Yeah, thank you all
questions.
very much. So. Okay, with that, our next meeting is next Tuesday, March 10th, and it'll be a regular council meeting. Following that, we'll do the same kind of work session thing. What departments do we have for that?
Library technically. You have, they pretty much. You give them the money and then they spend out. I mean, if you think.
I think public works should be separate.
Fair enough. Appreciate that. With that, ask for motion to adjourn. Motion Roberts,
Second.
second Etcher. All those in favor, please respond with aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Have a good evening.
Yeah. There's quite a few conforming with it, just. That's, you know, the total on that. Lastly, I, he's talking about a lot of, yeah. For that, I'm not